The Acolyte provided a unique Star Wars experience that was mostly separate from the Skywalker saga. The finale introduces major cameos of Yoda and Darth Plagueis, hinting at a different direction for a potential Season 2 that may blend with the Skywalker saga. The inclusion of familiar characters like Yoda and Plagueis in Season may second detract from the focus on core characters and unique storylines. The latest live-action Star Wars series, The Acolyte, has officially concluded its debut season on Disney Plus with the eponymous 8th episode, The Acolyte. Over the course of the show, which was set at the end of the High Republic era, approximately 100 years before the events of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, fans were introduced to a variety of new characters. This ranged from the twin duo of Osha and May Anicia to new Jedi characters, such as Master Sol, Yord Fandar, and Jeki Lon, as well as the mysterious new Sith villain called the Stranger. These new characters brought with them a new kind of Star Wars story. The Acolyte was a mystery series centered around the tragic origins of Osha and May as well as the potential return of the Sith to the galaxy far, far away. The approach was refreshing, as it was substantially separated from the stories and events of the Skywalker saga, the films that make up the 3 Star Wars film trilogies. However, in its Season 1 finale, The Acolyte falls victim to some of the same pitfalls that have doomed other live-action Star Wars shows like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. Introducing Yoda and Darth Plagueis into The Acolyte. The season finale of The Acolyte includes not one but 2 major cameos. Both of them establish a whole new direction for the future of the series if a second season should be given the green light by Disney. The more easily recognizable cameo comes toward the end of the episode, as none other than Jedi Master Yoda makes a brief appearance. He is only seen from the back and does not speak a word, but Master Vernestra Root seeks the old Jedi out, saying that they need to talk. The silhouette of Yoda is unmistakable, and he appears to have been brought to life with a puppet, in the same way he was in the original trilogy and Episode 8, The Last Jedi. There is one major cameo for the Jedi, but the other cameo the episode offers is an even larger one for the Sith. The first season finale of The Acolyte finally introduces the legendary Darth Plagueis on screen. The mysterious Mun is a Sith Lord who was first referenced in the final prequel film, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when Chancellor Palpatine shares the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise with Anakin Skywalker. Palpatine shares the details of Plagueis' death at the hands of his apprentice, Darth Sidious, who was secretly Palpatine himself. As Sidious' Sith Master, Plagueis was obsessed with immortality, constantly searching for natural and unnatural ways to extend his own life. Plagueis also only appears briefly in The Acolyte, as he slowly peers out from a cave to watch the Stranger and Osha board a ship to leave the mysterious unnamed planet they were on. His appearance is unmistakable, though. It's a short moment, but it's one with monumental implications for the future of the show, as it recontextualizes many of the actions taken by the Stranger throughout Season 1. While this is the first time we've seen Plagueis on screen, his design has previously been established in Legends materials like the 2012 novel Star Wars, Darth Plagueis by James Luceno. That novel has become a fan favorite among Star Wars fans, and The Acolyte appears to be looking to build off some of its best ideas in a potential second season. Star Wars has a modern cameo problem. Here's the issue. One of the biggest complaints that has been haunting the Star Wars franchise in recent years is the inclusion of countless cameos and references to other stories. Whether it be through The Mandalorian bringing in characters like Luke Skywalker and Bo-Katan, Ahsoka building on almost all the characters from Star Wars Rebels, or even Andor dealing with the likes of Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera, essentially every new Star Wars story requires some sort of familiarity with what has come before it. The idea of truly standalone stories has almost completely disappeared from the franchise. That wouldn't be an issue for a small franchise with only a couple of films or seasons of television, but it's proven to be a substantial problem for Star Wars, which consists of a dozen films and nearly as many shows. This has always been a difficult line for Star Wars to walk, but it has become much more noticeable over the last 5 years or so. This is because the franchise has begun expanding exponentially, typically with at least 2 new shows on Disney Plus every year. Just this year, we've gotten The Acolyte, the final season of The Bad Batch, and a new entry in the Tales anthology series with Tales of the Empire, and we still anticipate that the live-action series Skeleton Crew will debut before the end of the year. While some fans may be celebrating the endless stream of new Star Wars stories, the franchise has become too much for casual audiences to keep up with, and it has been overly reliant on the concept of introducing familiar characters to drum up interest in whatever the newest show is. This problem reared its head the most with Ahsoka, a series that managed to satisfy some of the most die-hard fans of the franchise but asked too much of casual viewers, who felt they needed to do the homework of watching multiple seasons of the animated shows Rebels and the Clone Wars, on top of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, to understand what was happening. The Acolyte was supposed to be different. The Star Wars franchise has struggled with this problem for a while, but things appeared to improve with the Acolyte. Setting this story 100 years before the beginning of the Skywalker saga seemingly removed most of the familiar characters from the playing board. There would be no Luke Skywalker, Mace Windu, or Emperor Palpatine in this show simply because the characters would not have been born yet. Showrunner Leslye Headland has often spoken about this, providing the show with more freedom, as they were able to focus on new characters with little regard to what else was happening in the galaxy. For the first big chunk of the season, the Acolyte did a pretty solid job of keeping the focus on the new characters it was introducing. There were a couple of familiar faces here and there, specifically Ki-Adi-Mundi or Vernestra Rue, but neither of them took focus away from the core of the show. Mundi's inclusion was a brief, fun moment, which upset many die-hard fans, and Rue's role throughout the season never once relied on familiarity with the character's history in the High Republic novels and comics. However, the introduction of both Master Yoda and Darth Plagueis in the finale of The Acolyte, setting them both up for more prominent roles in Season 2, almost completely abandons the idea that the Acolyte exists separately from the Skywalker saga. Now, in Season 2, the restraints of having to work within the confines of the Skywalker saga's story will be unavoidable. The show will almost certainly be hounded by constant questioning about how Plagueis' story leads to Palpatine, as well as how Yoda is either conveniently unaware of the rising Sith power or his role in covering it up. Either way, the attention these characters require will take focus away from the core characters like Osha, May, and the Stranger, whose stories have been the strongest part of the show so far. While there is solid story potential to be found when incorporating these two legendary characters into the story, it risks throwing out much of what has previously made the Acolyte so unique within the broader Star Wars franchise. The Acolyte is streaming on Disney+.